Hey, so this is episode 2 of my honors anatomy skeletal stuff. Sorry, on my last episode I got cut off a little. I tried to put in the description what I missed. So if you like what you see, please share with your friends and like the video. If you have anything to say about this past or maybe future videos, please feel free to comment. If you like what you see and want to see more, please subscribe for that little notification bell. And never stop learning. All right, that's going to be my catchphrase from now on. Y'all saw it here. It's on video. And anyway, continuing where we left off, I believe last I was talking about the rib. So just brushing up here. This is the head of your rib. This is actually a floating rib. You can tell because it doesn't articulate with the sternum at all. This is the head of the rib. This is the tubercle where it connects to muscle that helps it move in and out. This is the neck between that and that. And going into X-ray mode, this is the articular facet, this flat spot where it articulates with the spine. So yeah. Next up, we have your clavicle or your collarbone. Beep. So these two bones here and here are your clavicles. They fuse to the manubrium of your sternum and to each other to form your collarbone. Up until you're about 24, they're technically 3 separate bones, and they're the easiest to break, as most football players and athletes of any kind will know. So yeah, on your clavicle you have the acromial end, and you have the acromial end and the sternal end. Your acromia. This is your acromion. Actually, no, wait, that's your scapula. Your acromion is just your shoulder. Remember, your Latin term for shoulder is acromion. So this is the acromial end of your clavicle. This is the sternal end of your clavicle. Remember, sternal, sternum, acromion, shoulder. And your conoid tubercle. All right, here's another new bone structure name that we need to know in any on human anatomy class, whether or not you go to Lincoln High like I do right now. A tubercle is an attachment point, usually an outgrowth of bone, where a muscle will attach. Because remember, muscles aren't attached to joints or to each other; they're attached to bones, so that they can act as tension coils, lifting and moving and stuff. So on your collarbone, or your clavicle, you have this tubercle right here. See where it bumps out a little? That's your conoid tubercle. I don't know why it's called conoid, but it's a tubercle. So yeah. Next, we have your scapula. So your scapula is also known as your shoulder blade. Your scapula has a spine. Remember, a spine isn't just this big giant thing that goes down the middle of your body. A spine is also on a bone, any particular formation of a ridge. You have four actually, major spines on your body. One for each scapula, and you also have spines on your pelvis, on your pelvic area down here. So that's cool. And here comes another bone term, a fossa. So when you think fossa, think excavation, like you're taking away bone, except you're not really taking away bone, there's just an absence of it. A fossa is like right here. This is your superior scapular fossa. It's on the top half of your scapula. It's a fossa. A fossa is just, where it goes into the bone. Facet is straight. Tubercle or process or condyle, they are all out bumps of different shapes. Tubercle is a little bit smoother than the rest, but it's an attachment point. A fossa is usually where fat and nutrients get stored next to or in your bones, especially for things that need to happen fast. So this is your superior and inferior scapular fossa, and you have a whole bunch of processes here. See, we have the so we actually have 4 fossas here. So we have the infra or inferior spinous fossa. See right here how it dips in right below the spine. That's a fossa that's right below the spine. So it's the infraspinous fossa. This fossa is just your. This is just your. It's late. I'm sorry. So actually, when referring to your fossa on your scapula, you talk about its relation to the spine. This is your supraspinous fossa, and your infraspinous fossa. Remember, I only have about 30 minutes because I'm too cheap to go upgrade on Hippo videos. So, because I'm broke, so I've only got that much time to cover the rest of the axial skeleton. Your scapula and your clavicle form your pelvic girdle, which holds your arms to your axis or your chest. Or, basically anything that isn't your limbs is your axis. And so a girdle isn't technically part of your axis because it connects your limbs to each other and to your axis. So these are... So yeah, your pelvic girdle. Pectoral girdle is... It's called your pectoral girdle because it attaches to the pectoral muscles, and it's it holds up your arms. Your scapula has 2 processes. If you remember from my last video, your processes are... A process is just this piece of bone that sticks out of another piece of bone. This is a process, and this is a process. And this is actually a pair of processes. See how process sticks out of another process? So we have the acromion process, the glenoid process, and the coracoid process. I remember the acromion most easy because you remember acromion shoulder. Glenoid and coronoid, please comment below on a way to remember that because I'm having trouble with that. Next up, we have the humerus. Again, of course, we have 2, and this is where things start to get fun with tubercles. All right, this is your deltoid tuberosity. Tubercles and tuberosities are easy to mix up. A tubercle is a little bit spikier than a tuberosity. See how this is a tuberosity. See how it just it's a slight variation. So if you remember the tubercle on your clavicle, we see how it's a little bit spikier right here. I'm going to zoom in a lot. See how it's a little bit more of a spike and hump, and the bone actually moves. Well, over here we have on your humerus. This is a tuberosity. It's your deltoid tuberosity, is where your deltoid muscle attaches to your humerus. So the humerus is the first of the long bones we're going to be talking about. All long bones are built similar. They have the diaphysis, this long shaft, and the epiphyses on either end, which are the caps. The capitulum is this area over here at the cap. This is the head of the thing, especially where it goes into the ball and socket stuff. This is the greater tubercle. This is the greater tubercle, and this is the lesser tubercle. You see how we have this bone actually kind of moves to make it. I'm going to focus in on the humerus for ease of movement real quick. Humerus. We're on the left humerus, so there we go. So yeah, head. Now, does anyone remember from our last video what a tunnel through the bone is called? If not, if you know, good. You're probably saying foramen, and I can't hear you right now. If not, it's a foramen. So somewhere on this bone, I don't see it right now, we have a foramen. It's a nutrient foramen. It just goes through the bone and throughout the bone to help supply it. I don't know where that is, but in the practical, we'll have the actual bone, presumably, and we'll be able to point to it. So this is the, see how it dips into the bone right here? This is a fossa. Say it with me, fossa, like Mufasa. That was mean. So you remember what I said about condyles in the last episode? Condyles are little knobby things. At the ends are sticking out of bones. I'm gonna zoom in a little more. Yeah, this is hard. So this is the medial epicondyle. Remember, medial means closer to the middle of your body. And this is the lateral epicondyle. This is your so I'm going to need to zoom out for this. See this fossa right here on the back of your elbow? That's the olecranian fossa. See this end back here that articulates with your ulna and radius? That's your trochlea. And that's, surprisingly, that's all of the stuff on our list. But if you have any other questions, comments, please make sure to comment, because we just spent a whole lot of time on that. All right, so this is the radius. The way our teacher helps us remember that is your radius connects to your thumb, and that's rad. The way I remember ulna it's your karate chop bone. It's this one right here. It connects to your articulates with the base of your pinky. So radius, ulna. In the anatomical position, which this skeleton so very helpfully happens to be in, your ulna is medial to, it's just in a medial position, and your radius is lateral. Remember, lateral is away from the center of the body, and medial is closer. On your ulna, I'm going to zoom in a lot. We have a bunch of stuff that I'm going to need to focus in on the ulna for. Ulna. We are currently on the left ulna, so yeah. All right. You see these fossa, you love these fossa, you're rather attached to these fossa, and they are not actually on our list. But so you remember the olecranian fossa over here. This is the olecranian tuberosity. It's actually where your bicep connects to your ulna, so that we can all do this. Olecranion means elbow in Latin, so your olecranion tuberosity helps you move your elbow. That's your on the back over there. That's your olecranian fossa. It's on your elbow. So then we have the coronid, and then we have a couple of processes here. We have the olecranian process and the coronoid process. Remember, your coronoid process connects to your coronoid fossa, and we have a styloid process way over here. Yeah. And then, yeah, this is actually, no, wait, your olecranian. So your olecranian is your elbow, but this tuberosity right here is your ulnar tuberosity because it's on your ulna. On your radius, you have another tuberosity over here. It is your radial tuberosity because it's on your radius. Remember, head of radius, neck of radius, radial tuberosity, and styloid process. Next, we're going to start talking about the hand. This is where I personally have trouble, so we're going to focus in on the carpals for a better view. So your carpals are all the wrist bones on your hand. If I remember correctly, these are, all right, let's name these. The capitulae right here is the one that, this is your capitate. It's for your middle finger. This is your hamate. Remember, hamate is the one with the hook. It's for your ring finger and apparently your pinky, but your pinky is also connected to your tricretrial and siform. Your siform and tricretrial are the ones that break the easiest and the most, but your pisiform, that's not your siform, your pisiform is the one that's on your pinky, and your triquetrial is the one connected to your pisiform. This is your lunate. It's right underneath your capitate. This is your trapezoid. It's right underneath your index finger, your pointer. This is your thumb, and it's your trapezium. Yeah, thumb, trapezium. This is your scaphoid, and it's the biggest wrist bone you get, and it's right there. Now these are the metacarpals. They are the ones that form the actual pad of your palm. So if these are the carpals, your wrist bones, these are your metacarpals, or out of your wrist bones, and all of these 14 bones that make up your thumb and fingers, those are your phalanges. It's fun to say, I know. So that's your hand. Remember, another name for finger is digit. That's important so that you remember that these are your digital joints, and that they're synovial and stuff. Synovial means that it's got a little tab of fluid. So this thing right here, when I pop it, it's actually just fluid cracking, and it's kind of syrupy, so it does that. Now we're going to talk about your pelvic girdle. And I'm going to focus in on the bones of the pelvis for a better view. So, right here, remember these and these from our last video. These are the sacrum and coccyx. This is, of course, the right side of the pelvis and the left side of the pelvis. Now, your pelvis is broken down into a myriad of parts, all of which we need to know. But in short, this is the ilium. This is the crest on the ilium. Now, a crest is, humans really have only 4 crests on their ilium and their scapula. Remember, shoulder blades, right at the edge. So at the scapula, it's at the edge of the scapula. Right here on the iliac crest, it's at the edge of the ilium. Now see this where it dips down and becomes a fossa? That's your iliac fossa. And we have your anterior. And so these crests. So this is your crest, and no, wait, this up here is your crest. Sorry. These are spines. This is your superior spine, and this is your inferior spine. And you see where there's a notch here. That's your iliac notch. And this giant fossa here is your iliac fossa. Now, this iliac notch has another name. I have no idea why it's named that, but it's called your sciatic notch. It's your greater sciatic notch. I don't understand, but we need to get over onto the other side of this ilium. Please. I'm going to switch. So, I'm going to flip around, and then I'm going to focus again on the left side of the bony pelvis. So, we're still on the ilium. Yes? Yes. So, so you have inferior and posterior spines. This is your greater posterior spine, and this is your lesser. This is your inferior iliac posterior spine because it's on the back, posterior, and it's the inferior, so it's lower. So it's your inferior posterior iliac spine. My hyoid bone is sore. This is your superior iliac spine, superior posterior iliac spine. This is a lot, and this is your ischium. Your ischium is the part of your pelvis that forms the back of your ring, and this is your pubis. It forms the front of your ring. Your pubis has one of the flattest facets on your body. But for a moment, we're going to focus on the ischium. You have a spine and a tuberosity. The tuberosity on your ischium, the spine right here on your ischium, see it? That's your ischial spine, spelled thusly. And then your ischial tuberosity is, see this tuberosity? Nope, that's not it. Yep, there it is. See this tuberosity? That's where your butt, that's where your butt connects from, and that's where your thigh connects from your ischium to the back of your femur, so that you can move your leg backwards. And now we're going on to the pubis. The pubis has the obturar crest and the obturar foramen. I'm going to zoom in a little. Oh, okay, fine, a lot. Remember, a foramen is the tunnel through the bone supplying nutrient. We don't see it right now because this is a 3D model and there's only so much detail they can put on there. See this crest? This is the pubic crest. Your pubic tubercle is right here. It connects to the front of your femur so that you can move your leg, the inside of your femur, so you can move your leg inward. And your pubic symphysis. So you see where your your two pubic bones are just a little bit apart. That's also filled by cartilage called your pubic symphysis. It's technically a joint, but it's only a little bit malleable, so we call it a amphiarthrotic joint. Now, nearing the end of both this video and the list, we are moving on to the femur. The femur is remarkably like unto the humerus. Right here we have the head and the neck, and And unlike the humerus, we have a very increased femoral spine. The fovea capitis is this fovea right here. See, I always forget what a fovea is. Mr. Wardlaw is much better at that than I, but thanks to Google, we're able to do this. A small depression. So therefore, your fovea capitis near the head is right here. See this little depression? That's your fovea capitis. Depression right here. This is not a notch because it's filled all the way with flesh and stuff that actually articulates with itself, so it's a fovea. Now, you have two trochanters, greater, lesser. Your greater trochanter is bigger, your lesser trochanter is smaller. We have, now on the other end of your femur, I'm going to focus in on the femur really quickly because for stuff. Femur, yeah, we're on the left femur now. So, see this humongous fossa right here. This is called your intercondylar fossa. You see, have two condyles right here, knobby parts. This is your intercondylar fossa. This is your medial epicondyle, your lateral epicondyle. Remember, medial is towards the middle, lateral is towards the side. And we have your lateral condyle and medial condyle. And epicondyle is just on the cap of a condyle. And yep, I believe I've gone over the entirety of the. Oh wait, linear aspera. You see this spine right here? That's the linear aspera. Now we're on the last little bit. This is the tibia and fibia, which are the leg equivalents of your ulna and radius. So let's focus on your tibia. We're on your left tibia. So your left tibia articulates with your kneecap, which is the sesamoid bone. It's right here. With your femur, obviously, and your fibia. Your fibula is the smaller one. Your tibula is the one you kick people with or play soccer with. You have the condyles right here. And here you have the medial malleolus, which is this malleolus thing in the middle. And you have a tuberosity here, which helps you move your knee upward, obviously. And then on your fibula, you have your frontal anterior surface. You see how it's kind of flat there. You have your head, and you have your lateral malleolus. You see this spine right here, where I'm kind of on the side. That's your lateral malleolus. All right, now I'm trying to rush up here. If I don't finish, I'll try to put in this description. Thank you for watching. We're going to be looking at your tarsals. So let's take a look at your left tarsals. Anyone who was with me in class yesterday knows this, but most of you going to be watching this video either weren't or weren't able to. So this is your calcaneus. This is your talus. This is your navicular. These three are your cuneiforms, and these three are your cuneiforms, and this is your cuboid. How to remember that is your calcaneus is the biggest one. It's also your heel bone. Your talus is the one that starts your talon of your foot. It articulates your fibula and tibia. This is your navicular. It articulates with the talus. This is your cuboid. You remember that because it's cubes. And the cuneiforms are the ones next to the cuboid, and they're right here. And finishing up real quick, these are your metatarsals, much like your metacarpals, and